Hey, welcome to Sundays with PP, short weekly resets to help you enjoy your youth, know yourself, and get ready for a future that's changing fast. So, what I want to talk about today is discipline. And I see all the time on these reels that I'm into with fitness, and it talks about, getting your morning sunlight, getting up at like 4 a.m., and all this other stuff. But for me, from my perspective, discipline is not a luxury for people with personal chefs and zero period deadlines. For people like me, really it's a tactical survival skill uh, that has to fight for every minute of our day. They say everybody's got the same 24 hours. No, you don't. You don't have the same 24 hours. Okay. So I want to just do a productivity porn reality check. You heard that right. Productivity porn reality check. So if you spend any time on social media, you've seen the productivity gurus, right? That in order to be successful, you have to wake up at 4 a.m., jump in a tank of ice, meditate for an hour while the sun rises, right? But if you're a boarding student or a teacher at a boarding school, you're waking up to a loud bell or a roommate's alarm in a crowded dorm. If you're a day student, you're likely rushing to catch a bus or driving through traffic just to make it to your first class. This perfect advice that I mentioned before is what I call productivity porn. It looks good on a screen, but it's fake. Discipline is the real goal. All right. So the fake productivity stuff makes everyday students feel like they lack discipline just because you don't have a mansion and a quiet morning, or can make teachers feel like that, or hardworking people. So honestly, if that's the only way to be successful, then most of us are in trouble. If you see those gurus and want to tell them, you know, F you, I'm right there with you. Now, let's be clear, okay? There's a big difference between a fake guru and real science. People like Andrew Huberman aren't just making things up. The science behind the rest of us, we follow the golden rule of character. Do what you can while you can with what you can. All right, so back to Andrew Huberman. If you can do the full routine, do it. Right? If you can do it, if you can dedicate yourself to what he says, then, then do it. For the rest of us, do what you can while you can with what you can. If you can't get 20 minutes of sunlight because the bus is already here, get 20 seconds of bright light while you brush your teeth. If you can't hit the gym for an hour, then do 10 push-ups next to your bed. It's not about the perfect routine. It's about the habit of not quitting. So let's talk about Autopilot Brain and the cable wire. All right, your brain is always looking for ways to save energy. It writes autopilot scripts called habits to solve recurring problems. All right, think about the first day of school. You had to look at a map and consciously figure out where your classes were. It's exhausting, but by the third week, you could walk to your desk without thinking about it at all. You didn't have to remember all the different things your teacher said because by then you'd learned it. That's a habit. By turning that walk into a habit, your brain freed up space to focus on the actual lesson. This is ultimately why discipline equals freedom. Without habits, you're always behind the curve. Discipline is like a cable wire. It's a massive bridge cable, looks like one solid piece of metal, right? I'll say that again. A massive bridge cable looks like a solid piece of metal, but it's actually thousands of tiny thin wires twisted together. And your character is built the same way. It's made of every small thing you do. Choosing a glass of water over a soda, or a book over a doom scroll while no one's watching, especially. These small wires are what produces big changes and define who you are, and they stack up over time. So becoming a person of substance or a good character is like investing in the stock market. There's no day traders in character development. You can't make a fortune in 24 hours. What matters is your daily agenda. If you see what you do every day, then I know who you're becoming. But as you build that future, you must use something called the Stockdale Paradox. This comes from Admiral James Stockdale, who survived years as a prisoner of war. He noticed that the optimists, the ones who said we'll be out by Christmas, were the ones who didn't make it. Christmas would come and go, and then Easter would come and go, and they eventually died of a broken heart. Stockdale's lesson was you must never confuse unwavering faith that you will prevail in the end with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality. The brutal fact is you're tired. The dorm's loud. You have a test, first period, on Monday, but deal with it. Don't wait for a miracle or a vibe shift to save you. Acknowledge that today is a scrap and use that energy to solve the problem rather than complaining about it. Don't try to manufacture techniques to avoid failure or hacks to make the work feel easy. Stop using AI. That's just another way to stay stuck. Instead, focus on a truly competent worker. Competency is the ability to produce a result when the conditions are at their worst. There's an ancient principle called the law of the king's table. So here's basically how it goes. Do you see a man truly competent in his work? He will serve before kings. He will not serve before ordinary men. In the real world, kings are the leaders and top-tier organization CEOs, things like that. They don't care about your vibes. They care that you can solve the problem. If you build a reputation of being steady, reliable, skilled, showing up on time, look put together, the world's eventually going to beat a path to your door. Real discipline isn't found in a quiet room with a candle. It's found in the person who's rushed, exhausted, and under immense pressure, but still refuses to let their phone or their comfort dictate the start or end of their story. They stand at the gate of their own mind and they say, not today. So remember, discipline isn't a luxury for people with personal chefs and zero-period deadlines. It's a tactical survival skill for the person who has to fight for every minute of their day. You cannot build a life of your own on ground that you refuse to defend. This means that your focus, your time, and your character are the only real territory that you truly own. If you do not set a firm border around those first few minutes of your morning, you're essentially inviting the world to colonize your schedule and steal your future. Maybe you don't have an hour, but you do have a few minutes. Don't scroll. Do something productive instead. You cannot expect to be the master of your own life if you're too afraid to stand at the gate and turn away the distractions that don't belong in your kingdom. Protect your ground. Now, I'll see you in the next reset, right? Because these short weekly moments, well, they're here for you to enjoy your youth, know yourself deeply, and stay ready for a future that's changing fast. So I'll see you next time, and always remember, God loves you, and so do I.